So what we're going to be talking about today is a couple different things. As we talked about, we are going to be using the app for polling. If you don't want to use the app, you can use this URL, and I'll show it to you later on, but it probably is best to use the app. So as was said, 20 years I've been doing user research. That is a long time, 10,000 hours of talking to customers, figuring out what they like, what they dislike. I did work at a little startup called Salesforce.com in San Francisco. Fun times. Now I'm working with a company called Usability Sciences, which is really where I started my career. I'm also doing another session this Friday afternoon. We're doing live usability tests with mobile, so please check it out. We'll keep on going. So let me tell them what you're about to tell them. So logistics, I'll give you a little bit of overview of the video and how it's going to work. And I wanted to give you some insights into the listening and how to make decisions through this process. So I've been doing this a long time. This is my way to try and give you some guidance on how I see the world. But the majority of the session, if you ever heard bring a gun to a knife fight, for me, I bring video to a knife fight. If I'm trying to explain to, where there's friction points on a website, I bring video. And so that's the purpose of today. If you've ever seen Jimmy Kimmel or any late night talk show host where they interview the man on the street and they say, hey, what do you think is going to happen? And then they pause, and then the audience gets to guess what's going to happen next. That is today's session. So I'm going to play a little intro, then we're going to pause. Everybody's going to vote to say what you think is going to happen next. And then we'll push play, and then we'll see how it all unravels. And then Sunesh and I will be adding color commentary so that you can appreciate how we saw that experience. Does that make sense? We good? All right. And then after that, I wanted to make sure Sunesh has time to sort of give you his perspective through the process. All right. So we've talked about download the app. Great. You're going to be seeing these videos, and you're going to be seeing just a person's face, and you're going to see a weird-looking mirror in the background. That's because when we do this research, we're talking to people one at a time. You'll hear my voice, and it's because they're hearing my voice through a speaker. We wanted people to sit by themselves so that we can talk to them, figure out what's confusing or not confusing. I don't want to have to sort of look over their shoulder and what do you think about this? I don't want them to see my body language. So that's why we got two different rooms. And Sunesh and team is sitting in the back room so that we're able to talk about this. So I'll give you an example of what we're going to be doing this for. And if you don't have the app yet, I want you to see why you're going to care about this. So here's a video clip. We're not voting on this yet. I just want you to understand the rules of the game. This is from Kirklands.com, if you ever heard of it. That's where you can go and buy anything for your house. My wife loves it. I hate it. So the purpose of the session, I will tell you now, all of the videos' faces are blurry. That's on purpose because they did not sign up to be shown in an audience with a bunch of people. If you can't read this text, I encourage you now to move closer because all of these videos are going to have images like this. So apologize. So will she realize the ship to store is free? So this is probably 30 minutes into this process of talking to her. She's bought the Automock jar candle. Let's go.
Oh, that's where you can ship to store. Gives you the option. Okay. Something I would like to know is whether or not I have to pay shipping to the store.
All right. So you can see how this session is going to be playing out. Is ship to store, is that free? Now the answer, if you were the stakeholder of this website, is yes, it is free. And we've told everybody that comes to our website that it's free. Because if you're paying attention, down here in the second sentence, it says it's free. All right? So the business owner going into this thinks they've done it. Now we're showing this to people. So if we were voting, this is just to give you a teaser about why you want to vote. You are going to say yes and no. How many think yes? Raise your hand if yes, she's going to find out that shipping to store is free. I don't see many hands. That may be I may have told you what's going to happen here.
It does not tell me. I kind of feel like if I'm going to have something shipped to a store, it should be free shipping with sort of the understanding that it will just come on the next shipment that the store gets. I don't really understand why anybody would ship to the store unless it was because that made their shipping free and they were just piggybacking on whatever the store was going to be getting in the next week or two. But it doesn't look like from here that the shipping to the store is a free option. So I would ship to my house.
So she would ship to her house. Now, if you own Kirkland's, is that a good answer or a bad answer? I think the answer is that's a bad answer. You want them to ship to the store. You want them to buy 30 other things that they weren't expecting to have. So this is what the learning from talking to the folks to figure it out. What's great about this bringing video to a knife fight, this video didn't really sell. I don't have time to show you the next clip because 15 minutes later on she found out that it was free and she went through the roof like, rah, 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 how dare you, rah, rah. So let's keep on going. But that's gives the insight into where we're going with this. Actually, so big problem, a lot of what we find, big issues, fortunately with a very cheap cost. So this is what we tested at the time. This is rocket science. I hope you all get a screenshot. But they added this crazy word free right there on the and so how hard was that change to make? Not much at all. But they didn't know the problem existed because in their mind, we were telling people already. Nope, you weren't telling because people don't read. I think you may have read the memo. They don't read. So that's the best way to do it. Sound bites. All right. So we talked about how to vote. So hopefully you're in the app. You're going to go to polls and Q&A. You're going to find our session, How Well Can Buyers Really Use Your Website? When you're going to get on there right now, you will notice that there are no questions because polling is locked until we get to that slide. So let's keep going. And again, that's the URL, irce16.cnf.io. How well do you know your customers? So before we get into video, I'm curious. This was my question I want to ask the audience. And you can't vote yet. Let me explain all the options, and then we'll go to this. So how well do you know your customers? 0 to 50%, we might as well flip a coin. We make a lot of decisions in a vacuum because we just don't know. Or are you around 50 to 60 where we've got Google Analytics, we have an idea about where they're going, but we don't know the why, we don't know their intent. Or a little bit one notch higher, we have two different silos. This team over there knows where people are going. This team over there knows what they're thinking, what they're doing, but we just haven't figured out how to get the chocolate and the peanut butter all in one spot. Versus, it's in our DNA. We are whole hog in. We are all about it. So these are the questions. So hopefully, everybody should now, we're trying this out, hopefully, you should be able to go into your app. And as you answer, you should be able to see the answers. No votes have been cast yet. And here they come. Give you 10 more seconds just to make sure. That is, whoa, big spike. All right, so the majority seem to be at 51 to 60%. So you got some Google Analytics going on. You know where they're doing, but it doesn't sound like you know what they're doing. So greater than 90%, only 5% of you are willing to say, we are in the green. Forgive me for saying that, but it's in our DNA. 25% of you are, we might as well flip a coin. Fantastic, unfortunately. By the way, we're at a booth, so come find us. All right. All right, so let's keep on going. Oh, wrong button. So logistics for listening, it starts with the where. So some of you have said, well, we do focus groups. We talk to our customers because we've had business meetings. If you do that, I want you to understand the thought bubble versus what they're saying. Now, B2B, there are customers and then there are buyers. I know we all know this, but it's important to point out. So if you're in a room full of folks and you say, hey, you've been to our website, how do you use it? This is what they're going to say. Well, we do it for this and this and this. In this situation, we go over here. But what they're thinking is, yeah, we're a captive audience. I don't know why. Sometimes I go left, it goes down to a dead end. Sometimes I have to go right. If I do this and chook and jive and then I finally get there, I'll get my answer. So this is what they're thinking. And it's hard to get that feedback in this type of room. So what we suggest then, shocking, is that you talk to them one-on-one. And in the one-on-one process, you're going to get the same perspective of, yeah, all right, we're a captive audience, you know this, but here's the rat in the maze, but here's what I do. And this is the gold. This is, forgive me, the cheese in this process is, it's in their best interest to have figured out how to mow down whatever walls get in their way. And your job is to figure out what is the cheese that they're after, what are the walls, and how to knock it down. So that's what Sinesh's team is going to, that's our foreshadowing of what we're going to find out through this process. We talk about usability. It's one-on-one, as we talked about. It should be frustrating. If you do a session and you find out at the end that everybody loves it, no offense, you did it wrong. It has to be frustrating because you're not asking the right questions. Everything could be improved. And it's also compost. We're going to try something out. If it doesn't work, then we throw it back in. We'll just keep on trying. What about this? What about this? So that's the way you got to try it. Sometimes you fail. I look at usability research as pre-hindsight. You go to the App Store and somebody gets a one-star rating, it's because they did nothing to figure out what are people going to have. So if I could tell you that your website is going to have one-star ratings, what would you do different? That's what this whole research is all about, is to pre-hindsight. All right, logistics for decisions. Is the customer always right? Here's a trick question. Yes. If they have a problem, they are right. But no, when it comes to how they propose solving it. Because some of your B2B folks are not out-of-box thinkers. They're not thinking about the next step. And that's where your trick is to figure out what is the answer. Is mobile what they want? Maybe, maybe not. So listen to it, but be careful. When watching and listening, do not put any effort behind somebody that says what I would probably do. If they are a B2B customer of yours and they've been on this website, if you hear them say what I would probably do, means they are lying to you. They've never been on your website before. What you want to hear is what I have done and what they really do. This is where you'll see where they have Post-it notes. They have their password on a Sharpie on the side of their monitor. So these are the kinds of insights that you really find. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. This is my foreshadowings for what Sinesh is going to be talking about later on. But really, the key is understand your customers, what makes them think, and then figure out how to adapt to it, not the other way around. Build journey maps, as Adrian mentioned before in the previous session. 2 thumbs up, yes. Follow the cheese. That is the mantra I want you to be repeating throughout this entire week, is figuring out what is the cheese. Success drives everything. It all boils down to that for the most part. So, let me introduce Sinesh.
Hi, everyone. Pleasure to be up here. I'm going to introduce myself real quickly, and then we'll go into actually the project we did with Scott and the team here at Usability Sciences. So, a little bit about myself. My team likes to draw caricatures of me. Apparently, I point a lot, drink a lot of coffee, and just as I'm doing right now, I can pretty much stand in this position for a long time. So, I have 0 years of user research. I have 36 years of use as a user, right? So this is something that I think is pretty challenging because, of course, I know it all. And really kind of understanding where and how the user research plays a role is also a exercise in ego management. And so I think some of you guys can appreciate that as you guys lean on your teams to direct and drive user research. In my past has been very varied. I've been an engineer out of college, finance, consulting, strategy, marketing, sales. Now I lead our big and growing digital team. Today, as I said, I'm also a wannabe endurance athlete. I'm not nearly as successful as I'd like to be, but I do enjoy it. So it's a little bit about me. But I think what you guys are really here for is what our project was about. And so we thought we'd give you a little bit of primer on our dealer portal, we call it. It's called Bosch Link. And it's basically the way we sell to our distributors, right? So it's a closed system. It's not an open forum for anyone to log into. So it's setting some parameters around what our B2B world looks like. And primarily, our users use it for 3 things: to place and track orders, to look up pricing, their contract pricing, And then third is to check inventory. And we have three distinct personas. The first is an employee of ours. So a salesperson of ours who's out in the field can go into this system and place an order on behalf of their distributors, their customers, check orders, check inventory as well. We have a small dealer who sometimes doesn't get the sales rep to them as often as maybe they would like or we would like. So they use this as kind of their main opportunity to engage back with the business. And then kind of what we call our regional dealers who are a little bit larger. They also have a sales rep, but they're going in there for various pieces as well. So prior to any kind of real investment we've made in Bosch Link, which has been around for a long time, we started with what we call a discovery process, right? And our discovery process was really going out, very similar to what we had seen earlier, talking to our customers, understanding where their pain points were with the system. And I say that because when Scott and his team approached us to do a usability study, I was pretty skeptical, okay? I was, again, in this position where I'm like, look, we just spent a lot of money on discovery. I got my personas. I know what they're up to. I'm pretty sure we have a pretty good plan for what we want to build. And, we kind of went back and forth, and Scott and the sales rep, Tom, did his pitch, and they kept going back and forth with me, and I was like, I think I know what I'm doing. But ultimately, they did convince me, and I'm very fortunate that they did, because I think what we're going to try to show you today is that discovery process up front is very important to get some of the groundwork laid out when you're redoing a site, or if you're just making normal updates. But the insight you get from talking to these, from watching the videos are incredible. So a little bit about our project. We had 8 customers of ours, and I know it sounds like only 8, right? We have thousands that are on the platform. But the reality is with 8, you actually get some pretty good insight. Now, it doesn't mean that everything one person says is how you're going to change the site, right? But it does give you some insight into maybe where their problems are and what kind of proposed solutions you can come up with. Scott was a fantastic moderator, as you'll continue to see today.
I'll continue to tell you today.
Yeah. And we also had Tammy, who's here. Maybe you can wave, Tammy, our project lead for Bosch Link. And our designer, Tan, who really kind of helped mock up the environments that we wanted to test, okay? So I'll hand that over to Scott.
All right, let's keep on going. So we promised you some video, and tech guys, just so you know, we're both going to be talking throughout this whole thing, so you might keep the microphones going. So this is Skip. I want everybody to meet. So Skip is a regional distributor, pretty small shop. So when we say, give me an example reason why you visit BoschLink.com, here's what he said.
Tell me what's more frequent for you to go to Bosch Link to do?
Probably buy parts.
All right, so tell me the type of equipment that, not that any Bosch tool would ever break, but hypothetically, give me an example part that you're going to chase down.
Maybe a handle off of a Bosch Brute hammer breaker.
So by the way, this is what Sinesh sells. So it's not just your cordless drill, but it is your heavy-duty stuff. Mm-hmm. And I can only describe it as stuff. So this is what Skip's after. He's after that handle. So he comes into BoschLink.com. So here's our question here. Where is his first click?
So walk me through. What would you do in that situation?
This is where I would normally.
So let's see, where does he normally go? I'll give you a teaser. There is a search box. There is the browse. Or over on the right is a link called replacement parts. So let's the polling begin. Where do you think Skip is going to go for his first click? Come on, votes. All right, 85%. Oh, numbers keep on coming in. All right, so let's lock it here. We'll say it's about 63% guess search. All right, good numbers. All right, so let's see, what does Skip do?
I would normally open a tab and go and find the hammer through one of Bosch's other. It's not the Bosch link, it's just their website. They carry a lot of their.
Do whatever you normally do.
Okay, so it's okay to open another tab and everything?
And I want to know your reality.
For those of you playing at home, he did not do any of those three things. Which was news to the team. What do you mean? So there's a website called Google. You may have not have heard of it. So he went to Bosch Tools. So fortunately, he's on brand because he is a Bosch distributor. But and I sped this up because just think how long he's doing this just to find a handle for this breaker tool. So that the UI is a little bit different. So he's doing a search box. He's typing in the model number for this thing. These guys love the exploded parts diagram because there are so many different pieces. You have to know this.
This one right here, decided it's number 70, so I would just come down. I'd scroll down until I found 70, find the part.
All right, so he found the exploded diagram. He went down to item number 70. So we're done, right?
This one cracked me up. Go ahead.
Let's keep on going. So, note, we're not done yet. Oh, wait, even more steps to do. We thought he had his cheese at this point. Nope, now he flips back to the Bosch Link website. Now he uses the search. Now he finds out it's $14.25.
Add it to my cart.
So easy.
Perfect. Because he is a distributor, his price point is 14. As a B2C website, the price point is 19. So his cheese is to get a better discount. That's why he's willing to use this portal, but it wasn't even in his radar to even start here. So, no offense, none of you got it right. So let's talk about the why. So search, browse, click. Most of you thought search. Absolutely. Where you should be putting all of your research, a lot of your time is on the search box. So he didn't even try because he knew the cheese was way over there. It wasn't worth it. So he opened up a new tab. He went to his website called Google. And this is how we learned that he just used Google to cheat. Now we talked to 8 folks. The 8th person he came in, he's like, screw BoschTools.com. He just goes to Google.com and he just buys the part from I'm not Bosch RepairTools.com. So he went off and they lost the revenue completely. In general, the learning here is move the cheese closer to where they're after. So nice.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty apparent how frustrating it is to watch that, right? I mean, the other piece I think that's important to say is we've invested a lot lately into search, and I bet that there's a lot of users like him who got really frustrated with our previous search, and it probably didn't work. So you start to create behaviors that are then hard to change back. And that's also something to think about as you add new features and functions, that you make sure people know that they work.
Yeah, spot on. All right, let's keep on going here. So, what do the stars represent? So, again, same guy, Skip. If you can't pay attention, this is just a JPEG. So no functionality has been coded. We just threw this into a wireframe app so we can get some ideas on what people think about the flow. So no calories have been spent on this ratings.
So I was going to ask you about, over on the left here, these stars. What do these represent?
All right. What is Skip going to say about these stars? Is he going to say that these ratings come from an independent party? Is he going to say that these come from Bosch customers? Or is he going to be a little bit suspicious and think this comes from the Bosch marketing team? How dare you?
Come on.
This is horrible. We're done. We're leaving. Let's walk out.
I was going to say, so we got like moles in the crowd.
I'm not very good on numbers, but it looks like the majority of you are a little bit skeptic on this piece. Let's keep on going. So what did Skip have to say?
I have no idea in this particular instance. I mean, maybe that's a consumer rating or... I would just figure that to be some kind of marketing glitter.
Glitter.
I'm sure Bosch thinks all their tools are 5-star. and you know, knowing that it's well received from past customers is helpful. A lot of times, as far as me shopping for like if I was going to shop for that myself, I would go outside of the Bosch website to look at reviews.
So you see, he was a little bit hesitant to say that he's going to go somewhere else. I might go off property and go somewhere else. And this is why we talk to them separately. This is why I'm not a Bosch employee, to be able to maintain that unbiased perspective, to give him a safe space where he can give us that thought. So let me give you a follow. So for those of you that missed his quote, I don't know, it looks like the glitter from the Bosch marketing team. Fantastic. So let me tell you a little bit. I've got one more clip about Skip here. So because we asked these questions, then we started digging into what is the cheese that he would care about. As a distributor, he sells these pieces. He does not use them, he sells them.
Yeah, but although I would think that the numbers of units sold might be a better, like if these are going off the shelf, everybody is getting these, might be a better number.
Perfect.
Yeah, I think it's first of all, it's legitimate user reviews. Okay, so I need to back that up. Second of all, I think our marketing team was loved that someone said they have glitter, I think sometimes. But I think the more important point is that, we look at a lot of B2C and B2B things and we try to combine them a lot, right? And this is a clear one. This is our ratings and review system for our B2C site. And we're saying, well, of course that would help the user make a decision. Now, I'm not suggesting that it won't. It's just in the current context that it's up there, it obviously wasn't clear. Right? So adding some language that maybe said user reviews from the web, here's what it is, or to that point of this is a hot seller could actually help them understand that this is a product worth purchasing to distribute. Ultimately, though, I think it really did, it was a feature that we had put in, right, into our roadmap, into our backlog, without necessarily understanding where and how it would play a role.
Yeah, and again, this is just a JPEG. Mm-hmm. So amount of extra calories was, 20 minutes to copy paste, to throw it in as a proof of concept. Do people care? But the unexpected piece here is, like, this guy's a buyer. He's not up to what is the cool thing that everybody's buying. So if you can give me that insight of what's hot, then I'll know what to push on my floor. That is a very different B2B from your normal B2C. Make sense? All right, let's keep it going. More video. So B2B, let's talk to the buyer. So in that different company, but a distributor, this is the buyer. This is the guy that goes on and he's clicking, yes, I want this.
Basically, I'm the purchasing agent and do some of the operations as far as routing drivers, things of that nature. Handle all the purchasing, expediting.
In your role, do you get into which is the best circular saw, and looking at feature by feature, how do you choose which one to get?
All right, dear buyer, how do you decide what to get? What features do you care about? So let's go to our survey. Does he compare prices from 2 other sites? Does he research and reviews? Does he just do whatever the sales rep says? Or does he look at inventory availability? What are these 4 things? What's the driver for him? All right, votes coming in.
It's pretty split.
Yeah. If we can get a couple more, we'll have an even breakout. That'd be great. All right. So it looks like the majority of you say look at inventory, compare prices. Oh, thanks, guys. Oh, you're killing me. All right, so does the sales rep say, so it's about 22%. I'm going to say, all right, polls closed, but we'll go with the red one is 22%. So the least popular is this.
That's more on the sales side. They will talk with their customer, see what they need. They'll find the right product for them, and they will turn that into me, and then I will buy it.
So the buyer is the guy sitting in the back of the office. He's not walking the showroom floor. The sales reps know their stuff. The sales reps are the ones with the calluses because they've been using these skill saws for a very long time, buying it, selling it to the customer. So what this guy does care about is inventory and availability and shipment costs. But
I think this is pretty typical for anyone who's in B2B, right? You have really different detailed personas within a broader persona of a company size or something like that. Who's on your site making the purchase? Who's on your site browsing? And one of them may decide on what to buy, and the other one may actually make the click. And so if you're anything like us in a closed B2B environment, you have pretty high conversion rates, right? So you're not really trying to tack on an extra 0.2 of a point of conversion. At least in our world, we're not. What we're looking at is when someone's on who's a decision maker, can we give them the information they need to decide? They may not transact in that one session, but their purchaser may. So understanding roles is really, really important here. And we may have missed this as we did our initial research.
Perfect. So, yes, he just does whatever the sales rep says. That does not happen very often,
Right.
does it? So then we ask the question, what could mobile do to make your life better? So there sounds like there's paper and pens involved. What could mobile do?
So, out of curiosity, this does not exist, so let me tell you, or let me ask you if you even think it would be useful. If there was a mobile app for the sales rep to sit down with a customer and tap down, I want this part number or this product for 5 of these, and they built out those 10 items that they want, and it just sends it a link to you. It's not to say buy, but at least it facilitates that piece of paper. Is that of value to you, or would you still just prefer the pen and paper?
Let the polling begin. So, is pen and paper going to make your life better? Worse? Normally, I hate to look up and see everybody looking down, so we'll just say that this is a success. That is quite a donut shape right there, folks. I would have lost the bet. So 92% are saying, I guess it would be nice. There was a shrug involved. All right. Polling closed. Let's keep on going.
I don't think I would mind the electronic as long as if that was the only thing that was going to be on their order. That could go directly to them. That would make it easier that they could just click a part number or whatever. But at some point you're either typing it in and sending it or writing it and bringing it in when you come in. And for us...
this is where the shrug comes in.
Like I was talking about earlier, it's not like he goes out and gets an order for 45, 50 different Bosch items. He may have, something that's 3 or 4 items, and it's just as easy at that point to write it down.
So for those of you playing at home, so here's what he said. Oh, that'd be great. It could make my life easier. Sure, let the sales reps tap, tap, tap. But then it's just going to have to turn into paper anyways. And then by the time it gets back to my desk, then so you can just see his shoulders start to slump the more he thought about it. So it goes back to what people say they would do versus what they would want to do. What's powerful about this clip is I could pull a soundbite from any 30 seconds within there and prove whichever point I wanted to make at that time. There was a soundbite of, yes, I want mobile. There was a soundbite of, So anyway, that's...
And I think for us, the key learning for me and the team on mobile is, pencil and paper is really, really hard to get people off of. I mean, it works, right? So if you're going to go and really go into mobile, we have obviously our initiatives around it. It's just you got to be sure that the use cases make sense and that it's actually making their lives faster in B2B, right? And so that's something that we're challenging ourselves with, and it comes a lot with data and the services that we can really provide on a mobile platform. But great insight for us.
Yeah. All right, so shrug. Now let me introduce you to Victor. So Victor works in the parts department. So customers come in with the broken Bosch brute hammer, and his job is to fix it. So similar question. Would mobile help your life in the repair side?
Is there a need in your world to have a mobile solution?
Would it help your world to have a mobile solution?
So I work at a shop.
Ooh, so I work in a shop. So what is he going to say? Let's go to the polls, folks. So is he going to say, you know, for me, data entry is just critical. I have to have a full keyboard. Is he going to say entering work orders would be twice as fast? Or is he going to say, I don't know, I'm a bit of a laggard, but my customers are always asking me? Apparently, instead of a donut, now we're doing bar charts. All right, 5 more seconds. All right, look like Vic's going to say, not sure, but my customers are always asking. I'm not sure you guys have met Vic's customers.
So I work at a shop, and I only have one computer in, and I think I will always prefer the computer over like a touch phone or a tablet, just because of the cursor, and just able to use the keyboard instead of actually typing part numbers through a screen.
So remember that Bosch exploded parts diagram. To get to that handle, it is a 10 key digits just to get that very specific item. So,
Yeah, I got nothing to add here. I think we've got to move on to this one.
short color commentary is he actually is an early adopter. He's been here for a year. The guy that trained him was all about books. He, on his own initiative, realized that there is cheese involved, that there is a website that you could use, but he had to fight against everybody else in the shop from doing it. Only one computer in that shop. So, early adopter, though you wouldn't know it. So, data entry, full-time. So, part of my job is, let's keep on going. So, search results.
And so before you click on this, tell me how you want search to work.
I want to be able to type in worm gear circular saw, and then all the options for worm gear circular saws to pop up. Ideally, that's what I would like.
All right, let's try it out.
Okay.
For those that didn't know, there is a device called the worm gear circular saw. Things I learned. So what's going to happen the minute he types in, I'll tell you for now, he did type in W-O. So what is he going to see next? Is he going to see 0 results? Is he going to see 3 results? Is he going to see 53 results? No offense, Dinesh, I'm not sure they really trust your team.
The Bosch glitter.
Yeah, the Bosch.
That should have been an option.
All right, looks like 53 results is the predominant guess here.
Okay. Worm gear
3 results. Woohoo!
circular saw.
Success.
It was good to win one, okay? I'll tell you guys that. Because you need some
So,
non-frustrating
I've
moments.
got 3 worm drive. I've got 3.
Right, Tammy?
We had to dig a lot to find this one positive. So let's sort of walk you through. So yes, there were 3 results as you would want. That's great. So I'll show you a screenshot of what was interesting is, we tested on a Thursday. What this guy, Robert, didn't know is on midnight, the night before, new search engine went out. And so what that new search engine does is, as they're starting to type, it starts bucketing between tools, accessories, and attachments. That is a very fantastic path because he only wants one of those 3 things. And so the sooner you can start filtering it out was brilliant. Sanesh, anything you want to add?
No, again, it goes back to, we've created really negative behaviors on search because it wasn't working well for us for years. And now retraining people that the search works, we're not sure even how to do that sometimes besides kind of forcing them into it. But they love it when they use it, which is great.
We're going to fast forward just for time. I want to make sure we have time to get to our other pieces here. Sorry, we're going to skip this poll. Sorry, folks.
I want to say
I'll give you an insight into. So we asked, would you ever want to have barcodes on the product itself? Because he comes in and they spend a lot of time figuring out which part is it. So what if we put a barcode on there? So ultimately, unfortunately, it's not feasible. But here's artist rendition. I said, what if that brute had a little big QR code on it? In reality, this is what gets brought into the repair department. You can barely make out that it even says Bosch. And so the fact of trying to get a QR code on the top of the label, not going to work. But maybe on the inside, who would ever have thought QR code on the inside of a case would ever make sense? I submit to you evidence of this is what they would want. All right, so revisions since the research.
So I think, first of all, I think this is probably the most important one, is you get a little bit of momentum and confidence into what you're building. And that goes a long way. For us, it does at least, too, because it gives us a new set of data to kind of go back into our business case and say, here's why we want to expand this. And I think that's an important piece. Specifically, we changed ratings and reviews in our backlog. I think we heard that not only from him, but from a few others in terms of what relevance that has. And screen space and speed is really important to us. We added parts and service to our personas. I mean, and our team internally, we're including them a little more in the conversation. I think prior to that, we were just saying, okay, it's sales, sales, sales. And then, as Scott mentioned, this could be an idea now. We have this filtered up through Germany in terms of where and how we can maybe put barcodes inside the tools to help our parts teams.
Who would ever think a QR code should be on the inside?
But I think also a retrospective overall, and I think this is really important as kind of a final point here. We embrace UX a lot in product development and physical product development, right? We've always done that for years and years and years in terms of making our power tools. We haven't embraced it the same way, at least not as systematically in our digital product development. And I think it's kind of ironic in the sense that it's so much easier to do it and adjust in the digital frame, but we just haven't done it. And a lot of times we think we do, but every new opportunity we get, I think we're really trying to embrace it more and more. Our executive team, when I showed them some of these, they just wanted to keep watching. I had 15 minutes in our board meeting, but we watched, I think, 4 or 5 of these videos, and they were fascinated. Of course, some of the guys got called out for various things that had nothing to do with digital, but point is, we like to listen to our customers, and sometimes you don't have that content to really show. This is, I think, the key one that I really want to send the message out to this group here, because you guys are all here because you're involved in B2B in some way. And I doubt that any of those guys don't have a regular Amazon B2C account, right? And it's not that they don't understand things like mobile, or it's not that they don't use them to buy, or that they don't use ratings and reviews. The point is, when they're in our environment, they become someone else. And that's the important takeaway here, is like, do you know what your customer is doing in your environment? Not a persona, not a generic approach, and there's definitely, and I'll go to this one, there's definitely way too much talk of B2C world for B2B. And the reality here is this is not, in our experience, not at all true. I think B2C has some pretty easy usability templates, right? I mean, who's not going to look at the top right for the cart? Who's not going to hit add to cart in a big different color? These things we have a lot of trained behavior in the world because of things that Amazon has done, or very large B2C companies. But in the B2B world, you have to understand why they're visiting. And we think we do, and then you learn you can always be better at that. So my encouragement to you is that in your environment, in your B2B world, don't hypothesize as much as you want, but test those hypotheses, and don't just assume, because I think it's very, very easy to do so. Lastly, in our development process now, we're starting to figure out where and how UX fits in as we sculpt our digital development processes. And this, I think, will end up with some really strong results for us as kind of continuous iterative development that we try to preach.
Awesome. I think that's our last slide.
Yeah.
We're out of time. How are we doing?
Yeah, it looks like we're
Yeah.
right at time. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone.
We'll be around.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thanks, Paul.
Yeah. Nice job.
Thank you very much. I think this session definitely gets 5 stars, and our audience also gets 5 stars, I think.